So let's think for a minute about the IMHA role and what types of things you will be doing as an IMHA. If we look to both the English and the Welsh Code of Practices that accompany the Mental Health Act, they both really helpfully explain and define the IMHA role. It largely relates to helping people access and understand information about their mental health treatment and the reasons for their detention. And if you think about human rights under the Mental Health Act, there are quite a few, and the Code of Practices both say that IMHAs help to protect and uphold people's rights who are subject to the compulsory powers of the Mental Health Act. So if we think for a second about what rights do I have as a patient, and there are many. The first one is accessing information. So if I'm detained under a particular section, I have a right to know that and to be provided with information about that and about why am I detained. Part of the IMHA role might be to look at, has that process been completed properly, and has that been explained to the person in a way that they understand. Now that could mean asking for information to be repeated, or asking for information to be given in different formats so the person can access it again and again and again if they need to. Protecting a person's rights also means helping that person understand information about any conditions that are attached to a particular order or section. And if you think about Section 2 or Section 3, they're very different to being held short term under Section 4 or 5. So people have a right to understand what that section means and how it's going to impact on them and their liberty. Another right people have is to appeal that detention. And there are two very clear processes to appeal detention. One is the tribunal and one is the manager's hearing. And an IMHA, I think, will probably spend most of their time helping people access those important provisions, mostly because when you go to see people, most people detained will say to you they want help in getting out. So your role there is to help them access the Mental Health Act Administrator's Office, to fill in forms to apply to tribunal manager's hearing, and it's also signposting them to legal representation so that they've got that support and representation through the process. The other big part of helping somebody understand their rights is about medication. So what are the medication options? Are there any alternatives to that medication? Is there a method of administration that they would prefer, perhaps a pill or an injection? And, you know, as a non-medical expert, you're not expected to know the answers to these, but to help people to ask questions around their options. Lots of people will be concerned about possible side effects of medication, and there are quite serious ones, from, you know, medication that causes diabetes through to weight gain and through to dehydration and memory loss. So we want to be helping people to ask those questions so that they can make as many informed choices as they can. If we look at the Code of Practice, as well as saying very, clear things about helping somebody access their rights, understand the reasons for their detention and how it impacts on them, the Code of Practice also introduces this beautiful idea that IMHAs can help people on a range of other issues if it helps them to participate in care and treatment decisions. Now, where that becomes really interesting is non-mental health issues that impact on somebody. So if we think about something like pets, you've got somebody who is being detained, they're brought in by the police and they say to you, I'm really worried about my cat, nobody's feeding her, I'm really upset and I want to know that she's safe. That wouldn't traditionally be a mental health advocacy issue. It's not about her mental health condition, it's certainly not about her rights under the Act. It's not about appealing anything. So can I do that? Can I help that lady protect her cat? And I think the answer is yes, because it says in the Code of Practice any other issue that will help somebody participate in care and treatment. And if we think about the stress that might cause somebody and the anxiety and emotional distress, if we can remove that, then they're more likely to engage in care and treatment conversations. So I think that would justify the IMHA making some phone calls to the social worker, asking the lady if she's got friends or family, and giving them a quick call. So we're not talking about a huge piece of work, but certainly I think you are justified in doing that. And I think you could make the same argument for benefits. So somebody who's really anxious, I think you can legitimately help that person as an IMHA under that proviso in the code of practice that says any other issue if it helps the person participate in care and treatment decisions.